Hey guys, it's Noelle. Today I'm going to show you how to set up a new year in your bullet journal. The end of the year is the most exciting time for bullet journalers because it means that you get to set up a brand new year in your bullet journal. And whether you're cracking open a new journal for the first time or starting a new year in the journal that you're already in, it's super awesome because you get to try out new spreads that you discovered throughout the year and also retire ones that you got sick of and realized that just didn't work for you. But before I dive in, definitely subscribe to 17's YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of my future bullet journaling tips and tricks. All right, let's go. So the first spread that you have to do when you're setting up a new bullet journal is your index. The point of an index is to track all the pages and spreads in your bullet journal so that you can easily reference it and find that page in the future. If you don't have a journal that has an index already built in, all you have to do is skip a few pages and draw your index however you want to. I don't have to draw an index in my bullet journal because I'm using a Bondi book journal and they come with an index already built in. The next spread that I'll be showing you is your key. The key basically lays out all of the symbols that you'll be using to indicate the different types of tasks and notes that you put in your journal. So personally, I like to use a dot for every task, a circle for events, a triangle for appointments, a dash for notes, and then I might put like a light bulb for my ideas and a little clock for a deadline. Just little signs and symbols and doodles that separate everything. The next spread that you might want to add to your bullet journal is a calendex. As the name suggests, it's a mixture between a calendar and an index. And it basically brings together all of the events and commitments and birthdays that you end up writing down in your bullet journal throughout the year in one place. Step one is to write out the days of the month down the side of the page. Next, add a box with 24 columns in it, and then separate it into 6 columns. Then write the month at the bottom of each column. And then, using a calendar as reference, draw a horizontal line next to each day that's a Sunday. At the beginning of the year, when you set this calendex up, all you'll really have to indicate in the calendex is kind of like set events that you know are gonna happen throughout the year. For me, that's bills and birthdays. So I indicated whenever I have a bill on the 9th of every month and the 15th of every month. And then as events come up that you write down in your dailies, all you have to do in your calendex is write down what page you wrote it down on in the same color that corresponds to the category in your bullet journal. The next spread that I'm going to show you is a future log. The future log is a log of events that you know are coming up in the year after the year you're setting up in your bullet journal. These events take place even further than the year your bullet journal is going to track. For the future log, I wrote out the title of the spread, and then I drew columns in between each month, and then I wrote out every month in a year vertically, and then all I have to do is write out the event on the right with what day it falls on, and then put a dot in the column of the month that the event falls on using the correct color. So if I know that my ski trip is coming up in January of the next year, I would just write down ski trip on the right with the date next to it, the 19th, and then put a green dot in January. Next, we'll move into the yearly goals spread. This spread is basically a page that lays out your big picture goals for the year. This spread is super important because whenever you need any motivation or guidance when you're planning throughout the year, all you have to do is turn back to this spread to remind yourself of what your big picture goals were at the beginning of the year so that you can zero in on the tasks to complete them throughout the year. This spread is really simple. All I did was separate the bottom of the page into 4 boxes, and then I wrote Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 in each box. That stands for first quarter, second quarter, and so forth. And then in each quarter, you have room to write out what goals you want to get done in those 4 months of the year. I love watching Turkish series on Netflix, so one of my goals is to learn Turkish. And I put learn Turkish in quarter 3 of the year, And then to add a little bit of personality, I put a speech bubble to the right that I got in my little sticker book, and I wrote merhaba in the bubble because that means hello in Turkish. Another great thing to add to your bullet journal at the beginning of the year is a word of the year spread. This simple spread just helps you set the mood for the year. What kind of life do you want to live this year? For me, I wrote bold because I want to live boldly this year, which means I should take chances that I might not have taken last year. Another amazing way to set the mood for the year is a vision board. A vision board is basically a more visual way to lay out some inspiration to motivate you to reach your goals. So for me, I put down fun, colorful paper and ripped it up so that it looks really cool. And then I pasted Selena Gomez's new blonde hair look on top so that it would, encourage me to live boldly, maybe go for a new hair color. And then I put down a picture of Big Ben in London so that it would encourage me to travel more. And then in the bottom right corner, I put pictures of some of my favorite Turkish celebrities so that I remember to learn Turkish so that I don't have to watch them with subtitles anymore. The next spreads that are critical for your bullet journal are collection spreads. Collections are a list of thoughts, notes, or tasks that revolve around a particular theme. Some popular collections that Bujoers like to put at the beginning of their journal are books to read and movies to watch. Collections don't have to be super intricate or fancy. For my movies to watch spread, I just wrote movies to watch and then put a little doodle of a slate on the left and then split the page into 3 columns for the movie title, a column for rating, and a column for the date in which I watched it. The books to read spread is pretty much the same thing, only I put books to read in a little pretty ribbon banner. When you're starting your bullet journal, you probably won't be rating or dating any of these books that you want to read because you haven't read them or watched them yet. But once you do read them, you get to put the rating for it in maybe like little stars or dots, whatever you want, and then the date you read it. And now that you get what a collection is, you can always add new collections as new ideas and thoughts come up. One of the key elements of a bullet journal is trackers. Trackers help you log habits so that you can keep track of your goals and make sure that you reach them in a certain amount of time. Some of the most popular trackers that Bujoers love to put at the beginning of their journal are savings trackers, period trackers, and mood trackers. The first tracker that I want to show you is a period tracker, and it's perfect so that you never have to worry about your period sneaking up on you ever again. What I did was draw a rectangle with 31 rows for the days of the month and then 12 columns for the months in the year. Then when your period comes, you can make a line on what day it started and then another line when it ended, and then fill in the rectangle to mark how long your period lasted. Then, since your period starts a few days before it started the month before, you'll be able to easily kind of guess when it's coming. The next spread that I'm going to talk about is a mood tracker. A mood tracker is great because it gives you an overview of how your year went day by day. The layout for this one is just like the period tracker, and then on the right, I wrote a key with the colors that will represent each mood. And then as the year goes by, I fill in the days with how I felt that day. By the end of the year, you'll have a really cool pixelated overview of how your year went. Hopefully, you'll have a lot of pink in there. The next spread that I'm going to talk about is a savings tracker. Every year, there are a ton of things that you probably want to purchase, and if you want to buy them, you've got to save up. So this is a great tracker to make sure you reach your savings goals by the end of the year. For the savings tracker, I put savings tracker in a fun bubble letter heading with dollar symbols all over them. And then at the bottom of the page, I put 3 columns that will represent my 3 savings goals so far for the year. The 3 savings goals that I decided to track are for a car, a cell phone, and a ski trip. All you have to do is draw 3 rectangles for each one of your savings goals with the amount of rows that represent how much you want to save, and then fill them in as you save your money. And then throughout the year, if you ever want to add a savings goal, you can just add more goals on top of the ones that you already have there. those are all the spreads that I like to lay out at the beginning of the year before I get into my regular monthlies, weeklies, and dailies that your bullet journal are made up of. Now's the point that you go back to the beginning of your bullet journal and mark them down in your index. I hope this video helps you figure out how you want to lay out your bullet journal for the new year. Are there any spreads that you absolutely need in your bullet journal? Definitely let me know in the comments. And remember to subscribe to 17 so that you don't miss out on any of my future bullet journaling tips and tricks. All right, bye.